Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. This is our typical privacy, security, AI, business, and SillyVille news, and news featuring a cat. Hi, kitty. He's just not like that position, though. Here. All right. And I'm not comfy holding the cat right this second. He wants to go down and get something to eat, I bet. So we'll let him go. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed your week, getting ready for the show this weekend. And let's see what else we got. Yeah, these recorded live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to catch the show live. But let's go ahead and get started right on in with the news. First up, we have some facial recognition breaches. Now, this is a possible breach. It's a questionable one. However, the researchers at Have I Been Pwned says, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is accurate. Even though the company's saying, nope, definitely didn't happen. It's misinformation. I'm seeing that term thrown around in inappropriate ways right now. You say something that's truthful about a company that is inconvenient for them, it's misinformation. No, it's just information you didn't want getting out. That's not misinformation. I think we have a serious problem with that word these days. But anyway, a breach of facial recognition firm reveals a hidden danger of biometrics. This is Out of Box, which is an Australian firm. This was used to scan faces for bars and clubs. We actually talked about this back in the Koofy times because over there down under, they were mostly required to get all jabbied up and then put all of that information in a central database. And Out of Box would able to tie into that database, scan you to see if you had the appropriate juices flowing throughout. And so with that being said, they went ahead and just had this glorious business model, but like other companies, they wanted to cut as many costs. They used third-party guys out of Philippines, and then they decided that they just didn't want to pay them anymore. So the Filipino guys ran off with their data. Allegedly. And so what happened then is it wasn't that they ran out with the data. They didn't run out and leak it. What they had said, the Filipino team, they have said that there has been very poor security. They basically did whatever they could do to save a buck, make a buck, including not pay them. So they stopped working for them. But they actually, the Filipino developers, they put up a website to check whether their information has been included based on some of the code that they knew was working. Now, it's not necessarily that the Filipino people actually are the ones that took the data, but we don't really know exactly who had. But Out of Box is saying, nobody took our data. This is misinformation. And then they were trying to tell everybody to stop reporting on this misinformation. And so, of course, we got all sorts of crazy nonsense going on. So the problem here is that all of these companies like Kmart is still in Australia that is using this. Several grocery stores, bars, nightclubs, all these companies are using biometrics, which could be fingerprints, it could be facial scans and things like this. And it's becoming this normal part where everyone just says, well, it's just part of society. So I guess that it's just something that we're going to just do. And so everybody's just doing it. The problem is these companies we are hiring for this type of stuff, they're not, with security is not the highest on their mind. They're looking to make a buck. And whatever it takes to do that is oftentimes what you get, because the governments or the companies wanting to implement it, they're not necessarily looking for the most secure. They're looking for the place that can get the job done with saving them a buck. And so they'll naturally, the two guys that care a little about privacy, your privacy specifically, and most about the money, they're going to meet up and engage in this demonic dance of collecting all of your data, putting it in insecure places on the internet. And then when it breaches, they'll sit there and go, no, I don't think it came out. And so, sadly, horrible example can happen when you result from implementing a privacy invasive facial recognition system, says the head of policy for Australia. I got to find that spot where they actually said misinformation. It was really funny. According to the Have I Been Out of Box website, the data includes facial recognition, biometric, driver's license, scan, signature, club membership data, address, birthday, phone number, club visit timestamps, and slot machine usage. Very nice. It claims Out of Box exported the entire membership data of IGT, a supplier of gambling machines. IGT Vice President Global Communications tells Wireless the data affected by this incident has not been obtained from IGT and that the firm would work with Out-of-Box and law enforcement. So the website owners posted a photo, signature, and redacted driver's license belonging to one of the Out-of-Box founders, as well as a redacted screenshot of the alleged internal spreadsheet, although they were not able to verify that. Out-of-Box, quote, Out-of-Box is aware and responding to a cyber incident potentially involving some information, an Out-of-Box spokesperson said. Quote, we have been in communication with a group of our clients to inform them and outline a strategy to respond. Due to an ongoing Australian police investigation, we are not able to provide information. And then, let's see. Let me see if this is the article that had it. There it is. We are aware of a malicious website carrying a number of false statements designed to harm our business and defame our senior staff, the Out-of-Box spokesperson said. We believe this is linked and urge people not to repeat false and reputationally damaging misinformation. In other words, a bunch of stuff of ours leaked out, and we don't want people to know about it, so please stop talking about it. Reminds me of a few other companies I might tell you about soon in the future. Now the guys who I been pwned they were reached out for comment, and they say, I don't see a reason to deny this. What they provided seems pretty compelling, unless you have solid evidence that it's not. It's probably not misinformation, is effectively what they're saying. The point of the story here is that we have to be really careful about where our data is going, and we have to push back against this at every possible turn. There's just no way around it. EU plans to force message apps to scan for CSAM risk millions of false positives. So they're trying to push this through. They're really doing their best job to implement this. This is going to be on-device scanning. This is effectively the same thing Apple wanted to do, only in this case here, they want to deploy it across any messaging app that has more than like 1 million or 100 million users on it. The problem is that, everything turns into a numbers game. And when you're talking about having billions of messages sent every single day, like a group company like Signal would have, or WhatsApp would have, even if you only have a 10% false positive rate and only, maybe 3 or 5% of messages or whatever are flagged as potentially dangerous, you're into the millions of false positives. And the problem is that a lot of the way these systems work, see the previous article where we're talking about people wanting to scrape a buck or whatever else, they're not going to invest their time. They're just going to assume you're guilty. And so you will cause absolute wreckage on millions of lives to push this nonsense through. In fact, there was the case back in the koofiness when people weren't allowed to actually go to a hospital, and if you don't remember this one, I don't remember we talked about this one or not. But the guy, a man his toddler had some issue, which was in the genital region, and contacts the doctor. The doctor says, take a picture and send it to me. So the man takes a picture of the genital region of the child with the issue, sends it to the doctor. Google flags it as, say, CSAM, and they send CYS to his house. They open police reports in his house and all this nonsense because the doctor asked for a photo. Don't use Google services, folks. Because Google flagged it, and even the doctor's like, yeah, I said to send this message because it was a medical situation. It still didn't clear everything up for him. I mean, this is a potential ruin of this guy's life because he did what the doctor said to do. I've been said next to him, no, I'm not taking a picture of my children's parts. We can schedule a time, you can look at it yourself, or I'm going to find a new doctor, But that's what this is going on about here, is they're really trying to push this. Now, they're trying to push back on a few things like I got to find that list of things they're trying not to do. So obviously this creates a massive backdoor. Anything that is getting around end-to-end encryption, whether it's on device or off device, is certainly a problematic thing. So obviously that is an issue. And one of the things they're trying to do, so it's trying to push back to have limit the scanning to individuals and groups already suspected. So who's already suspected? Well, everyone with a political viewpoint you don't agree with. There was actually a case of that with a Proton Mail account came through this last week where a guy was involved in a political party they didn't like, and so Proton Mail was forced by their laws to expose who the information. They wanted to limit it to known and unknown CSAM. Well, what else is there? Known and unknown. It encompasses everything. All right. They want to remove the requirement to scan for grooming and remove any risks to end-to-end encryption by limiting it to platforms that are not end-to-end encrypted. The European Council and the co-author involved has yet to make a position on the matter, and so we'll see. So, I mean, overall, this is going to be horrible. What the statistics are, WhatsApp sends 140 billion messages per day. If only 1 in 100 would be a message tested by such detectors, there would be 1.4 million false positives every single day. To get false positive down to the hundreds, statistically, one would have to identify at least 5 repetitions using different statistically independent image detectors, and this is only for a WhatsApp. So this is an absolutely impossible thing. If this were to pass in the EU, this is the end of encrypted messaging on the internet. And unfortunately, that gets us to our last story. Now, this one has a major potential to be wildly political, and I'm going to try and stay as neutral as possible on it. If you are using Signal, be warned. Be warned. Well, the model of Signal is good. The problem we have is that Signal has 5 board members, and right now 2 of them are completely compromised, anti-free speech, pro-censorship people. One of those being Catherine Mayer. I'm like, Catherine Mayer, that sounds familiar. Oh, if you remember, particularly if you follow in conservative circles, you might know there was a longtime senior editor at NPR who was just fired last week for simply saying, you know, we are NPR, we are publicly funded, we are supposed to be very neutral, which means we should have roughly an equal amount of people on both sides of the aisle. Our stories should be representing from both sides of the aisle because both sides of the aisle pay our bills. It's like Michael Jordan used to say back in the Nike commercials when people wanted him to take political statements. He says, you know, this party buys shoes too, which is a very good argument to take. Well, this person was fired. You say, well, what does NPR have to do? Catherine Mayer is the brand new CEO of NPR. She's the one who fired him for simply pointing out that they're pushing a political agenda, not reporting balanced news. Well, this same person last year was put as the chairman of the board of Signal, and she has a very, very sordid past. So as the technology is good, it might only be as good as the people who create it. So she started her career as a U.S. back-end agent of regime change. During Arab's spring period, she ran a digital communications initiative in the Middle East and North Africa for the National Democratic Institute, government-funded institution that works in concert with American foreign policy campaigns. She cultivated a relationship with online dissidents and used American technologies in the interest of U.S.-supported color revolutions abroad. She became CEO of Wikimedia in 2016, and then recently was named CEO of NPR. She became a campaigner against disinformation and admitted to coordinating online censorship through conversations with government. She openly endorsed removing of alleged fascists, including President Trump, from digital platforms and described the First Amendment as the #1 challenge, eliminating bad information. According to The Insider, a woman named Meredith Whittaker, who is now the president of the Signal Foundation in 2022, recruited Mayer to become the board chair because of their mutual connections to OTF, where Mayer also serves as an advisor to nonprofits such as Access Now, which defends and extends the digital rights of users at risk around the world, including Middle East and North Africa. Whittaker, like Mayer, is ideological. She previously worked in high position in Google and a left-wing organization organized left-wing campaigns within the company, culminating in the 2018 Google walkout, and demanded Me Too-style sexual harassment policies and the hiring of a chief diversity officer. So what does this mean? She has connections, of course, into regime change organizations. She is against free speech. She wants to get rid of certain political points. And Signal, for a long time, was run just by a CEO who was one of the programmers and developers, which was perfectly fine. It looks like last year, I couldn't find the exact date, but it looks like at least as of last year, Signal is now run by a 5-person board. One of those people is Mayer and the other person is Whittaker. So 2 out of the 5 people are highly ideological people who are pro-censorship. Now, I don't care if you're on the right or on the left. Pro-censorship should scare you, because if she's pro-censorship leaning towards the left, she wants to censor people on the right. Well, if you start that precedent and now you get somebody pro-censorship on the right, they're going to want to censor people on the left. This is why I think that the Roe versus Wade conversation was one of the best things for privacy, because it finally got people to recognize that we have to take our privacy seriously. Well, the problem we have is that now at least 2 of the 5 people on the board of Signal are completely compromised. And this is going to raise some serious concerns for the application down the road. Now, I haven't used Signal for other reasons. While the backend technology is good, they've done some other things I wasn't a huge fan of. Never anything that I would tell anybody else not to use. But this throws up a big warning flag that we need to watch. So if you're using Signal, be aware of the fact that 2 out of the 5 people running the company are complete ideologues. One of them is one of the original founders, and I don't know anything about the other 2 board members. So be careful if you're using Signal. It might not be a viable company down the road. Just something to keep in mind. Well, with that, let's jump on over to security news next. So first up in security news, we have another patient data breach. DocGo patient health data is stolen in a cyber attack. They disclosed in a form that a cybersecurity incident involved the company's systems. Part of the investigation, they say they determined the hacker accessed and acquired data included in protected health information. So they offer mobile health services, ambulance services, and remote monitoring of patients in 30 states and across the UK. So the company touts 7 million patient interactions. And DocGo says the breach concerns a limited number of healthcare records within the company's U.S.-based ambulance transportation records. So basically, if you are using any DocGo stuff, double check if you're not included in this. And of course, Malwarebytes gives the same exact stuff for everything. Vendor advice, change your password, multi-factor, watch out for vendors, take your time, set up identity, and based on that People's Court episode I saw today, don't send Cash App things to 4 different people for the payment of a puppy. Use a little bit of internet smarts here, folks. All right, well, that was out of left field. Well, yet another data breach of biometric data. This is Salvadorian, or El Salvador. 80% of their entire country's population. Biometric data leaked, which included, like, everything. We're talking everything. 144 gigabytes of data was leaked. 5,129,518 high-definition photos. 80% of the entire country's population. The data included first names, last names, birth dates, telephone numbers, email addresses, residential addresses, and the images were biometric maps with information on it. So here's actually some of the pictures involved and the data involved here. You can actually see what it is. And of course, just because somebody wrote a little script here to tie each photo with the data in the database, so a person could come through here and get the biometric data and all of the information. So effectively now you can get it into everybody's phones and all sorts of other stuff biometrically verified. And the problem is, of course, with this kind of stuff, you can't change it. So once it's compromised, it's compromised. We got some serious problems with that. So once again, another report, just be very careful about that biometric data, because once this gets inside of these databases, you're not getting this stuff back once it's in there. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. Today we are highlighting DigitalOcean. I use DigitalOcean for server backend. We use it for our Jitsi server, restreaming servers, and just all sorts of other fun cloud infrastructure. So DigitalOcean is a great place to go ahead and get some server tech going if you need some, whether it's a VPN or maybe a gaming server or anything else you need. Simple websites, stuff like that works great on it as well. Using my affiliate code there, tlm.li/DOH. That's going to get you $200 in credit, good for 60 days. You can spend that up, see how it works. And as soon as you spend money on your servers, I'm going to get an account credit on my servers. And I think I pay them about $80 a month, I think is what, in various server fees. So DigitalOcean, definitely a great place to go for some cloud-based servers, tlm.li/DOH. And with that, let's have a look over at I guess we're going to jump right on over into AI news next. We're just going to keep on pushing along here. These are going to be pretty quick. Microsoft's latest Copilot AI boost wants to turn everybody into a prompt writing expert, and now it even wants to talk to you. Isn't this great? Now you have this AI robot constantly nagging you, and it's a Microsoft product, so you know it's going to be popping up. Like you're in the middle of doing a video, you're just reaching that climax, that amazing joke just before the punchline, and then you're going to get that Windows notification. Hi, I'm Copilot. Would you like to chat with me now? No. So obviously this is not part of the Windows system, but it is Office 365. So what they're trying to do is get more people more comfortable with it. So they're trying to cram it in your face, and you can talk to it. You can give it prompts. And then as you're entering the prompts, it's actually going to use its own AI to refine your prompts even more. And I guess push you into more of the world of idiocracy more and more as your rational and cognitive thought dies out as you let the machine take everything over for you. Pretty soon we're going to be like zombies. We're going to go, food. And then it's like, it's going to change your prompts into the things that it knows you want based on your general preferences. I don't know. It's crazy world coming in. But anyway, this is coming to Copilot. It's going to be a feature that allows you to refine your chats. It's going to refine you. It's basically giving you a feedback loop to help you become better at doing all of these chats and things like that. So that's what Copilot is up to. And our last AI story today, if I get rid of all of these pop-ups, thank you, MIT. So deep fakes of your dead loved ones are a booming Chinese business. Now, this was actually first tested. I talked about it first on the channel a few years ago when Microsoft was trying to do this. They're basically trying to recreate your loved ones into their technology. And so the idea here is that this guy's mother had died, but he was the startup of this company working on avatars. And so he created a digital replica of his mother that he can jump on and have a conversation, basically like a Zoom call with online. And he says it's deeply therapeutic because I can still talk to my mother even though she died, blah, blah, blah. You see, I have a different opinion on this. Actually, it's not really too different because down here at the bottom of the article, they actually did interview a psychologist who kind of says, yeah, this isn't the best thing to do. It's somewhere down here. There you go. This area here is AI really good for grief. In my opinion, no, because when somebody dies, it is a traumatic thing for us, but we have to learn to get over it. If you watch the show Hoarders, a lot of the people on Hoarders have gotten that way because they've never gotten over the grief of losing someone. You cannot get over the grief of losing somebody if you're talking to them every day on an AI-generated device. You're perpetuating this. This type of model is inducing mental illness in many ways, in my opinion, because you're not moving past the grief process. You're not moving on, understanding they're dying and going and talking to living people, real people who can help walk you through the grief process, which is what is very important for you to do for your own mental health. So some people understand this, but in our crazy world, now what they actually said, it's fairly common in the Chinese culture to want to soften the blow, and in some cases with elderly, not even tell them that like their siblings have died because they think it's too traumatic for them. And so this company in China is basically doing that, is just trying to say, hey, we're providing a way that people can keep talking to their loved ones. And in this case here, and I don't really think this is ethical, grandma's brother died. Well, they're going to keep on scheduling conference calls between grandma and the brother, and grandma doesn't actually know that the brother has actually died. She has no idea she's talking to an AI avatar. And that's we think that's crazy in the West. Apparently that's part of their culture. But it's hundreds of dollars. The company made digital replicas for over 1,000 clients since March of 2023. They charge $700 to $1,400 depending on the service purchased. They plan to release an app-only product soon so that users can access avatars on their phones and can further reduce the cost to around $140. The purpose, he says, is therapeutic. When you really miss someone and need conversation during certain holidays, you can talk to the artificial living and heal your inner wounds. I don't think so. I think you need to go talk to the living to heal your inner wounds, in my opinion. Now, what's fascinating about this is we have pitched on here on my supporter networks. I write short stories. In September, I wrote a short story on exactly how this could go wrong. So if you are a new supporter or considering being a supporter, you can go back to September and read the story that I wrote on this exact technology. Like, I had no idea this company was doing this. I borrowed from Microsoft's idea. September, what was it? I think it, oh man, I forgot the title of the article. If somebody's a supporter can find that, let me know and I'll go ahead and mention it here later on the show. But I want to say it was earlier called Digital Madness, but I changed it to something else. But anyway, the article, the short story is exactly like that. The audiobook has expired, so you won't get the audiobook until I release the whole audiobook later on this summer. I'll release all those stories out again for everybody. So you can get that if you want to listen to it, but you can still read it. It's on all of our supporter networks. And it was September 2023. So very fascinating. Well, if you do want to help support the channel, though, we do have a shop. Of course, those supporter networks. I should have talked about the supporter networks here, but hey, I'll do that at the end of the show. But we do have a shop, shop.switchedtolinux.com. You can pick up hoodies and t-shirts and hats and coffee cups and things like that. We have all sorts of styles and designs and stuff like that over here. And we have mouse pads, and we have, here's a mouse pad here. We have mouse pads, and we have coffee cups and hats. This hat's available over there as well. So shop.switchedtolinux.com. And with that, let's jump on over to business news next. First up in business news, after a couple of weirdest snafus with Microsoft, remember the company that's trying to store all your passkeys and force you to have a Microsoft account and collect all this data about you, has seemed to have a lot of security instances in the last couple of months, from entire divisions losing their email addresses to CEOs being successfully phished and all sorts of nonsense. And so after a couple of threats from higher ups, Microsoft is tying the executive pay to security following multiple failures and breaches. So they're saying that most of these could have been very preventable failures or poor communication. And so now they are tying the pay of the executives to the success of their trends in security. And so that's what's going on there at Microsoft. So what they actually said is that everything that happened was actually very preventable, but they had so much push towards new features and things like that they just weren't focusing on it. And that's kind of how security oftentimes is, isn't it? Security, more often than not, is just about that. It's about us saying, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and just keep on doing this, and doing this, and doing this. And we don't even think about security until an incident actually happens. And that happens to be one of the serious concerns. And so in this situation here, basically they're talking about, we have the Storm 0558 issue. They breached Microsoft's Azure services, collected data for over a month in mid-2023 before being discovered and driven out. Months after ambiguity, they disclosed a series of security failures that gave access to an engineer's account. They collected data from 25 Azure customers, including U.S. federal agencies. They also disclosed they had been breached again, this time by the Russians. The Midnight Blizzard group, they were able to compromise legacy non-production test tenant account, gain access to Microsoft systems for as long as 2 months. Like, this is the company, which we'll have a video on this, a more comprehensive video next week, probably Monday or Tuesday. They're now forcing disk encryption on your home Windows computers now, but don't worry, they're saving a copy of your passkey in the cloud. Great, thank you. And so this is a company that's forcing its users for the largest operating system to incessantly use its stuff to fight despite their best attempts to not use it. And they keep on having major security issues. And so because of this, they're like, well, we're going to go ahead and tie your executive pay. I don't know what that means. You know, they're never going to screw up bad enough that they're making as much as the hot dog vendor outside. But of course, the hot dog vendor outside probably makes 6 figures in this part of the woods. But, well, you never know. Attempt to turn things around, Microsoft announced something that's called the Secure Future Initiative in November 2023. As part of that initiative, Microsoft today announced a series of plans and changes to security, including a few changes that have already been made. Security is the top priority at Microsoft above all else, even over all of the other features, they wrote. The Security Executive Vice President, Charlie Bell, did reviews with Charlie Brown. Okay, Mom. We're expanding the scope of SVI and integrating the recent recommendations from the CSRB, as well as our learnings from the Midnight Blizzard, to ensure our cybersecurity approach remains robust and adaptive to the evolving threat landscape. As part of the changes, they'll be making the senior leadership's pay partially dependent on whether the company is meeting the security plans and milestones. So if you don't reach the goals, well, we're not going to go ahead and pay you as much. So there you go. That's an exciting one. So good on Microsoft. Hopefully that'll do it. Google is Christy noming another thing. They're going to be taking the Google Fit APIs out the back of the shed down in 2025. It was the gravel pit, though, wasn't it? They're taking the Google Fit APIs down to the gravel pit in 2025. So this is probably going to break a number of fitness devices. The problem here is that Google was trying to get into the health syncing data platform like Apple did. Well, Apple did it right with HealthKit, where they always had one API from the very beginning and everything was built on that. Of course, Apple has a unified ecosystem, whereas Google went out on a shopping spree and bought up any and every competitor it possibly can, and this caused it to have multiple different APIs. I think they had 3 at one point in time, various APIs. They have the Fitbit APIs. They had APIs from, I think Sony, or wait, which one was it? I forget which other one. Then they had a couple other different APIs to the point where it was just this giant mess. And then the different apps, even within the Google's ecosystem, would do different things. And so they're trying to cut all these down to focus explicitly on one of them. So right, they're focusing on now is called the Health Connect API. They're shutting down the Fitbit Web API and the Google Fit REST API. So any developers will have to use those, but they're saying it's not good to try and migrate data from one to the other because they're entirely different data types. So, so whatever's going to happen there, I'm going to have to build whole new applications and tell people, yeah, we're just going to delete all of your historical health data. Hopefully they give you a way to download it and view it in a spreadsheet or something. But what they're trying to do now is streamline everything through the Health Connect app. And then the Health Connect app, of course, can sync to all sorts of other variety of different things going on down through. But they are going to be ending this, and this might cause many legacy devices relying on this to stop functioning altogether. And so there you go, more e-waste for the shed. There you have it. And Neuralink, of course, we like talk about Neuralink. They're implanting brain waves into implanting chips into people's brains and allowing an interface between thoughts and things like computer controls and things like this. And so the problem that they had is that their first patient had surgery in February and the brain chip started to disconnect itself. That's caused some serious problems. Now, it did not endanger the person, and he could still use it to do some basic things. It says here he could still play a game of chess on computer using his thoughts. And basically, they used the chip to control the keyboard and the mouse and things like this. Now, the researchers were able to go back in there and fix the chip, reconnect it in, but the early test is suggesting it had some issues. Now, there were some alleged problems with some people were reporting that all of the original test animals died. I don't know if that's true or not. They probably wouldn't be able to get human testing if that's the case, but there were certainly some questions around how the animals were treated. And so that is in and of itself an interesting thing. So that's what Neuralink is up to, which is an interesting and fascinating world. In fact, I wrote a novel about the general world that this could happen with. And I questioned what type of dangers could be lurking inside of this in my novel Synaptergy. So if you are into science fiction, this is a family-friendly science fiction. If you're looking for something for maybe an adolescent to read that's not full of all the nonsense, this is a great read, and it is family-friendly. So you can definitely check this book out. You can have a look over at the website, which is synaptergy.com or tlm.li/s, or you can just search up Synaptergy anywhere you buy books online on the internet. We do have a number of links over here where you can pick it up. We don't sell it directly on any websites that we have here at this time, although we probably will at the end of the summer when we release our next science fiction book. You can actually read the first chapter over here on the website, or you can listen to the first 5 minutes of the book on our SoundCloud account. So you can have a look at that book there if you're interested in that Neuralink world, but want to see maybe some of the weird negatives that could happen in such a world that some people may not be thinking about. Have a look at the book Synaptergy. It might be something interesting that you might want to see. And with that, let's have a look over at your favorite place and mine. Let's have a look over at SillyVille. First up, we have a climate change casualty because Apple is committing itself to no longer have wasteful things inside of their packages. For the first time since the 1977 Apple II computer, your products will no longer come with stickers. I don't know what all of these young hipster kids who love stickers are going to do. I mean, these were the kids that grew up getting stickers when they did good assignments. Now you're supposed to be a good feeling when you buy your Apple product because you get stickers proving how good it was. But you no longer get your stickers. You were a bad boy and you bought an Apple product. Just so you know. But the stickers are going away. At least they're not in the packaging. That's obviously all in jest. They're doing this because they really want to say, what can we cut down on in the environment? I know for me, I've gotten a couple iPhones, and I probably still have these Apple stickers floating around because I'm really not a sticker guy. I don't really go around throwing stickers on things. So I probably still have some of these, so maybe it's a good thing. Now, if you are still interested in Apple, if you go to an Apple store and you buy an Apple from an Apple store, the Apple stores will still have stickers. And so if you are a sticker person and you buy a new iPad Air, iPad Pro, maybe a new iPhone, you can ask the people at the Apple store and they will get you some stickers because they have some specifically to hand out to people who want them. But I mean, I think this is probably a good plan because, how many people want the stickers and are going to stick them all over their things? I don't know. I personally don't. But I could very well be the outlier. I know stickers is really huge. I don't know. Maybe should we have switch to Linux stickers? Would that be a cool thing to use? I don't know. That might be fun. But anyway, you can go ahead and consider that. Here's the nice vintage, the old Apple stickers and those beautiful. See, those I might put somewhere. They're nice and colorful. I could say something, but I'm not going to. They are nice and colorful, though. They are beautiful. These ones here, not as cool, but they got some modern class to them. So, yeah, they have it. Well, this is an AI camera that shoots haikus instead of photos. So you take the camera, you point, you shoot, and instead of a picture, it uses AI to express in words what the picture is. So this is built off of a Raspberry Pi and uses a Raspberry Pi camera. And of course, they gave it a little thing. Now there is a little tiny thermal printer in here. So you use the camera, you flash the camera, the AI does its thing, and then it prints out a poem for you based on what is in the picture that you just took. And I can only imagine what happens if my brother got a hold of one of these cameras. Do not leave a camera around in the presence of my brother. Every time somebody leaves a camera around, he will pick it up and take a picture of his crotch. And of course, that was back in those days when you would have to take the film out to be developed. And so you don't know what you're getting. Don't leave a camera around at my brother's. He will pick it up and take a picture of things. And then you won't know it until you get your film developed. You'll be looking through, oh, look at this picture. Oh, look at yeah. So I can only imagine what would happen if you did that with this particular thing here. But there you have it. A sweeping blue light commands the view, erasing distance, sunlight memories, tentative fingers tapping its keys, surrounded by mugs, piled papers, nodding, charging cables. A chaotic mind dwells here. No, he just saw my Stanley Cup collection. Clearly, I mean, surrounded by mugs, piled up paper. Come on. So, anyway, you can actually, I believe they have the plans for it. But, yeah, there you go. Let's see. Let's see the Poetry Camera website. See if that guy loads for me. Poetry Camera. So, print poems instead of pictures. New way to make memories. Away from screens, no tips and apps. Is it, maybe it's, okay, here we go. There's your DIY instructions. Sends you over to GitHub. Here's your Poetry Camera Raspberry Pi hardware you'll need. So they're using a Pi 02W. Ooh, I think I have one of those. Actually, I don't have one with headers, but I can get this guy. If you don't have one with headers, you can buy this guy here and get yourself your headers. Accessories to connect the Pi to stuff. So just a basic intro kit. You need the Pi camera module. You need a mini thermal printer. That looks fun. I should play with one of those. You need a couple batteries. So it looks like they're using a big AA array here. And let's see. A shutter button and LED. And wire cutter, strippers, soldering iron, accessories, jumper cables. They have the software available, and then here they're just going to walk you through your whole process. Here's your basic setup. So you have your Pi 0, you have your camera feed over here. This guy's going into your thermal printer, And change Wi-Fi networks on the go. There you go. So there you go. You can have your very own poetry camera that gives you haikus instead of pictures when you take a picture of it. And finally, if you are having insomnia, if you're looking for a way to sleep, this video surfaced from 1989 that has been making the rounds on YouTube and is going viral once again 35 years later, and is now called the most boring video on the internet. It is a hour, was it 2 hours, 3 hours, several hour long video of Randy Smith teaching people how to use it was just under 2 hours, how to use Microsoft Word on a Mac. And I have no idea if the introductory stuff is going to be like copyrighted music or not. So let me go ahead and mute the introductory music. So here you go. Look at this. We got the Mac Academy. And so let me just move ahead here.
In fact, the singing group, the Monkeys, went around here.
What people are saying, so this guy was actually a motivational speaker, and he was known for this calming, soothing voice. And so for 2 hours...
So there were only 3 of them instead of 4. Michael Nesmith was the 4th member, and he did not tour. Reason he did not tour is that his mother invented whiteout.
I have no idea what's going on.
Next term, reverse type. Reverse type simply means white letters on a black background. Criteria, they are, so we pop our disk in there and we learn 20% of it, and we never learn the other advanced features that the program has. So the 20% you can figure out by yourself. 20% of it you'll probably never use. We are becoming very feature laden. In fact, some people call it featureitis in some of the new programs. And there are things that'll do that you'll never want to do. So it's the other 60% that we're going to focus on today. So let's go.
Here you go. The undo feature. How to undo in a Word document.
What I need in life is an undo button. Whenever I do anything really dumb, I simply push undo and start over again. Well, it works on the Macintosh, but doesn't work in life. Let me just tell you something about the undo button, and that is it will only remember the last function that you did. You cannot go back and say, remember that paragraph I deleted about 6 minutes ago. It only remembers the last function that you did.
Here's the paste
command.
A tutorial about how to paste.
Style changes. I want to change
But it was
the
a different
look of my
time back
copy.
there in the
I want it
89.
to look differently. Now, the first thing that most people want to do is they want to take a word, a headline, and they want to make it bold, or they would like to italicize it, or they'd like to underline it. Now, there are actually 3 I'm trying to come up with a 119-point type. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the tape that some margins
that escalated quickly.
Word. Now let's get into tabs. In the new program 4.0, they made some dramatic changes, and most of those dramatic changes you will see in our advanced class. 2 of the most dramatic you will see in the basics class, and one of them's coming right up, and that's when it comes to making tables. So I will show you both the old way.
You can do tables. So there you go. You can go ahead and grab this video, and you can put yourself to sleep with this guy's soothing voice talking for 2 hours on how to use Microsoft Word 4 on the Mac from 1989. That there is just some excellent stuff. Well, if you want to help support the channel, you can go ahead and have a look over at my locals. You can jump on over there, switchedtolinux.locals.com. You can get those short stories we were talking about earlier, and we can go ahead and see those, stay up on what's going on, participate in the Thursday show if you like, or provide some other information. We also have a Subscribestar page, subscribestar.com/switch2linux. All the same information on all of those. So anyway, you want to help support, we probably have means to go ahead and do that. With that, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you all next time.